Well, we're back in Psalms. Last week, I was trying to work my way to Psalm 14 and 15 and 16 last week. But we didn't make it. We did make it to 8. And one of the things we talked about last week is how all of these Psalms are attributed, were all written by David. Now, at different times, I'm not saying these are all in order as he wrote them. I'm not claiming that at all. But one of the things we talked about last week is how David, we have so much more information about David than most biblical figures. And we see his highs, we see his lows. We see so many things we can compare ourselves and say, I've felt that same way. I've had those same thoughts. By his writings and his poetry, which was what we're reading, we see so much more about David. So we see the good and the bad. But picking up tonight, we talked about... Last week, we saw how David had gone, he was being chased, and how he was having such problems. Then we hit 8, and it talks, and how, I'm just going to read 8 again because I love it so much, but it talks about, when you think about it, David's talking about, wow, God, you created the heavens and the earth. You created everything. And yet you know us individually, which the concept, the thought is staggering. But I'm going to move from 8 into 9. I am going to read 8 though, just to put it back in perspective. It says, Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory in the heavens. Through the praise of children and infants, you have established a stronghold against your enemies. To silence the foes and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon, the stars, everything you have put in place, what is mankind that you're mindful of them? Human beings that you care for them. You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands and put everything under their feet, all the flocks and herds and the animals of the wild, the birds in the sky, the fish in the sea, all that swim, the paths and seed. Lord, O Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. And that statement there, you made us, think about it, God made all this stuff here on the earth. And all the animals and the plants and everything, and he put us over it. He thinks that much of us. He loves us that much, which is amazing. And I'm going to kind of run through here 9, 10, 11, and 12, trying to get to 13. But just as a historical note, in the Septuagint and some of the old writings, 9 and 10, Psalm 9 and 10 were actually the same. There was actually one really long psalm, but they did break it apart. But we do see here in 9, it says, I give thanks to you, Lord, with all my heart. I will tell of your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing the praises of your name, O Most High. Remember, this is a guy that also has hit the low of lows. And he's saying this. He says, my enemies turn back. They stumble and perish before you. Not before me, but before you. For you have upheld my right and my cause, sitting enthroned as a righteous judge. You have rebuked the nations and destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their names forever and ever. Endless ruin has overtaken my enemies. You have uprooted their cities. Even the memories of them have perished. The Lord reigns forever. He has established his throne for judgment. He rules the world in righteousness and judges the people with equity. The Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. Those who know your name trust in you. For you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. Sing the praises of the Lord enthroned in Zion. Proclaim him among the nations what he has done. The nations, remember, those are the Gentiles. That's what they're talking about there. Not, David's sitting there going, proclaim what he's done to everybody. Not just here for us. Tell everybody. For he who avenges blood remembers. He does not ignore the cries of the afflicted. Lord, see how my enemies persecute me. Have mercy and lift me up from the gates of death, that I may declare your praises, is why David wants to be lifted up. In the gates of daughter Zion, and there rejoice in your salvation. The nations have fallen into the pits they have dug, for their feet are caught in the nets they have hidden. The Lord is known by his acts of justice. The wicked are ensnared by the works of their own hands. The wicked go down to the realm of the dead, all the nations that forget God. Did you notice that part too? So all of the nations that forget God. He's not saying all the nations. So, interesting. We don't forget God. But God will never forget the needy. The hope of the afflicted will never perish. Arise, Lord, do not let mortals triumph. Let the nations be judged in your presence. Strike them with terror, Lord. Let the nations know they are only mortal. And then it says, why, Lord, picking right up in 10, why, Lord, do you stand far off? Have you ever felt like that? And sometimes you think, man, God, I know you're there. But it seems like you're there and not here. I mean, David's gone through some rough times. David's had some interaction that, man, well, I almost say that I wish I could have, but David was afflicted a whole lot. Had a lot of bad things happen to him too. He had a lot of hilltop and a lot of valley experiences. And, when we're going through tough times, it can be so easy for us to think God is far off and not close. I know a lot of us are probably familiar with that poem. It's nothing biblical, but it's, the poem Footsteps. Probably all seen, it seemed like forever in the 70s and 80s it was everywhere. But it talks about, Lord, you're always with me. And then in the deepest parts, there was only one set of footprints. And God's going, yeah, because I was carrying you. But sometimes we feel that guy was thinking he's so far off, but God was right there with him. Let's be careful. When we think that, let's be careful to go, that's not true. He's actually closer than we think. It's amazing to see King David, of everything that happened. Even him says, why, Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? And then it talks about the wicked man. Really, here through 11, it talks about the wicked man. In his arrogance, the wicked man hunts down the weak who are caught in the schemes he devises. He boasts about the craving of his heart. He blesses the greedy and reviles the Lord. In his pride, the wicked man does not seek him. In all his thoughts, there is no room for God. His ways are always prosperous. Your laws are rejected by him. He sneers at all his enemies. Have you ever had that thought? That right there for his ways are always prosperous. Talking about the evil man. His ways are always prosperous. You see people not doing the right thing. And they seem to be getting away with it. Seem to be doing great. They got more money than they can shake a stick at. Or they're always winning. Whether be it at work or whether be it in life or whether, wherever it may be. Sometimes we can think that. Why in the world? I'm over here trying to do the right thing and this guy's getting away with murder. Not literally, but the figure of speech. He's getting away with murder. I think that's probably, I may be wrong, but I bet most of us have felt that way at one time or another. Even King David did, which is amazing. But, we see a little thing going through here to these things. He's talking about how the greedy are taking advantage of the poor and the weak. And, David at times was weak. He was being chased and stuff. But he was not poor. But we see his concern for them. And even more so, David's concern for people who can't help themselves. Why is this guy getting away with that? But why are they not being taken care of? We see here 7 through 11, he's talking about his mouth is full of lies and threats, troubles and evil are under his tongue. He lies awake near the villages. From ambush he murders the innocents. His eyes watch in secret for his victims. Like a lion in cover, he lies in wait. He lies in wait to catch the helpless and drag them off in his nets. His victims are crushed, they collapse. Then we get down to 12 and he says, "Arise, Lord, lift up your hand, O God. Don't forget the helpless. Why does the wicked man revile God?" And we continue on to 16 and it says, "The Lord is king forever and ever. The nations will perish from his land. Yes, Lord, hear the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them and you listen to their cry. Defend the fatherless and oppressed. So that mere earthly mortals will never again strike terror." He's asking them to take care of the oppressed. Then in 11, David talks about how he takes refuge in the Lord. And in 4, and he says, "How can they say to me," this is David saying, "I take refuge in the Lord. How can these people tell me, flee like a bird to a mountain? For look, the wicked bend their bows, and they set their arrows against the strings, to shoot from the shadows at the upright in heart. When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do?" David's saying, how can you say that to me? The Lord is in his temple. The Lord is on his heavenly throne. He observes everything on earth. His eye examines them. The Lord examines the righteous, but the wicked, those who love violence, he hates with a passion. On the wicked he will rain fiery coals and burning sulfur. A scorching wind will be their lot. For the Lord is righteous. He loves justice, and the upright will see his face. David here was saying, David was saying, how can people tell me to run? The Lord's still on his throne. Yeah, they're coming after me, but you don't worry, for the Lord is righteous. He loves justice. The upright will see his face. And we move on to 12. Starting off again, "Help, Lord, for no one is faithful anymore. Those who are loyal have vanished from the human race." Wow. "Everyone lies to their neighbor. They flatter with their lips, but harbor deceit in their hearts. May the Lord silence all flattering lips and every boastful tongue. Those who say, by our tongues we will prevail. Our own lips will defend us. Who is Lord over us? Because the poor are plundered and the needy groan, I will now arise, says the Lord. I will protect them from those who malign them. And the words of the Lord are flawless, like silver purified in a crucible, and gold refined 7 times. You, Lord, will keep the needy safe and will protect us from the wicked, who truly strut about when what is vile is honored by the human race. Man, for no one is faithful anymore. But slowing down here in 13 and 14, we pick up in 13, and I have this actually here above us. It's David, he sees all this going on. We see it every day. If you think about it, all you have to do is turn on the news, or you have friends or family that are hurting.
Our missionaries in India got to be feeling that.
Oh yeah, just like this past Sunday free will offering for Gary. The missionaries in India. It was not too long ago they were setting up for a little church service. Some guys rode up on motorcycles with guns. Said, "Y'all got 10 minutes or something like that?" He said, "You got 10 minutes to get out of here. We're killing you." Yeah, I mean, we're blessed, really. Thanks for reminding me about that, Deb, because we're blessed. We don't have the problems that a lot of places have. I posted a thing today that, Iran arrested the guy that took video evidence of them shooting down that jetliner. They announced today they arrested him. Really? Okay, you messed up our plan. You brought it to the world's attention. We're arresting you, buddy. We are naive in this country to a certain extent what other people in the world have to face. It's just true. Yeah. But in Psalms 13, he's going, how long, Lord, will you forget me forever? You ever felt that way? Praying for something? I bet we've got a few people today. We talked about them earlier. People that are hurting, pain, from treatment, from being weak, as far as physically, due to age, and that's hard. That takes a toll. And they may be wondering quite frankly, maybe wondering, Father, how long am I going to have this pain? Whether it be physical or spiritual, but we have people that really in a lot of pain physically. How long will you hide your face from me? And even David at the time, though he has all these experiences with God, and he knows who God is, knows, and still sometimes he feels this way. How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? I love that. How long do I got to wrestle with my thoughts? I know it's not true, but I feel like this. I know that's not the way it is, but I feel like this. My guess is we probably had those thoughts too. I know you know what's going on, Father. I know you know everything. Quite frankly, sometimes we don't understand the timing, or we don't understand everything that's going on. Even David is like, why? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. Whew. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. Isn't that amazing? Look at the journey of that. Look at the journey of that psalm. I mean, it's incredible. David's sitting here saying, this is how I feel. This is what I'm wondering. First one, how long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts? It's amazing to see how David has some of the same things we have. But man, he starts out going, this is so hard. Why is this so hard, Father? Why? But I know. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. He's saying, man, I don't understand this. Yeah, man, it's hard. But I know who you are. I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praises, for he has been good to me. Just a few verses there, he's saying, how hard is it? But yet he remembers. Have you ever been scared or hesitant, maybe a better word to put it? Have you ever been hesitant to, I say be honest with God? Not like he doesn't know how you feel, not like he doesn't know what you're thinking, but have you ever been hesitant to express it? To really tell him, Father, this hurts. I wish this was not happening. I feel like you are far away. Now, granted, we can say those things in an inappropriate manner and an appropriate manner. But you know, David felt these things, but he also says, you know, he's talking, you know, when he's singing this out, he's saying, this is so hard. But I know you're God. I know who you are. I trust you. And I'm going to sing your praises, though I'm hurting. I'm going to sing your praises. It's a little bit more of a look on the whole David, a man after God's own heart, doesn't it? There's a lot of stuff. Really, quite frankly, until I started reading Psalms more often, I was always kind of, you know, David, he's kind of an anomaly to me. You know, he's this way at one time, this way at another. And you start reading Psalms a lot more, and you start picking up on all these nuances and how much you can actually relate to David and learn from him. Though these Psalms were sung, this is David pouring his heart out. We can go, would I have said, look on me and answer, Lord my God? I'm thinking, but you know, there is a right way and a wrong way to do things, to say things. He loves us. He knows it anyway. And sometimes it is good for us to talk about it. We tell Paul all the time, it's good to talk about things. You got a problem, let's talk about it. Sometimes it's good. It is good to be praying and to be honest. Because he does love us. And he does know best. And I didn't get nearly as far as I wanted to tonight either. But next week, 14 is great. 14, 15, 16, those are some great ones. We're going to cover those. Then I'm going to skip ahead. We're not going to go all the way through Psalms in order, kind of like we've been doing a little bit. And I did skip some stuff tonight. But we've got several more weeks of the different Psalms. But I encourage you to read it. Just to sit down, read one. Think about it. If you can, before next week, read 14, 15, 16. It'll do us a lot of good. But with that, thank y'all for coming. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. If y'all online, we love you. Y'all be careful. Hope to see you next time. Good night, y'all.